My parents say that my fiancé cheating with my sister is God's plan, but when the family business fails, I tell them it's God's plan and cut them off. I thought I was done facing hardships, but here I am again, facing another situation where I have to make a tough decision. I don't want to end up on that strong warrior list this year. I'm exhausted. I just want peace and to forget all the pain and suffering that, I've had to endure. But unfortunately, my past caught up with me, and now I'm faced with a very complicated decision. If they had put this in front of me a few months ago, it would have been easy. I never would have helped out with the sinking family business. I would have said, screw that legacy. But now, I'm in my sensitive phase. Everything is going well for me, and I don't have room for pain or resentment. Part of me feels bad for what they're going through. But what about how I felt months ago? Where's the accountability for that? You might be wondering, what did they do that was so bad? Well, let me take you back 2 years. I was at the peak of my happiness, about to marry someone who made me feel really good. Someone I believed was the one. My parents introduced him to me, and at first, I wasn't interested at all. I didn't care that a union with him would strengthen our family. In fact, I even suggested that they introduce him to my little sister, Melody. However, when I met Clark, something changed inside me. I'd only known him for about a year before he proposed, and we already had a date set. He wanted me to be a housewife and devote myself to our family. So I quit my master's program and started looking for a house for us to settle in. I know, it was stupid of me. But believe me, I was blinded by love. For months, this man made me feel like he was my knight in shining armor, even making me thank my parents for introducing us. I was raised with certain values that I've always tried to uphold. So despite the pressure he was putting on me, I tried to bring those values into our relationship. Unfortunately, I caved during the week of the wedding. That week was, no exaggeration, the worst of my life. We were watching something when he fell asleep while his phone kept ringing. I had never checked his cell before, I swear. But that day, something pushed me to do it. When I looked at the screen, I saw a message from my sister, Melody, saying, "Make sure my sister doesn't find out about this." At that moment, I thought they were planning a surprise for me, so I decided to check his messages. I used her fingerprint to unlock his phone and started reading. And that's when my world came crashing down. I saw suggestive messages from my fiancé to my sister, conversations in which they were planning to meet in secret. She told him she missed him, that it wasn't fair for him to spend so much time with me, and to make sure I didn't find out. The messages were from months ago. And worst of all, he told her that he'd chosen the wrong sister because I was too frigid. I also found videos and photos that churned my stomach. After that, I kept going through his phone and came across a group chat with his friends. I thought, I'm already hurting. What's one more blow? And there, this man was boasting that it was such a relief always having my sister, the more experienced one, available. He kept saying I was the perfect wife for his image, and that he'd always have access to my sister because she gave him things I obviously didn't. His friends were all for it. One even said, "Man, you're so lucky, 2 beautiful sisters." Even though there was a compliment in there, it didn't make me smile in the slightest. I couldn't take it anymore. I was furious and needed answers. So I texted my sister from his phone and told her to come over. I went to take a shower because I was so disgusted. Every time I saw him sleeping, I imagined him laughing at me with his friends, and fear crawled all over me. When I was done, I heard someone knocking at the door. My sister had arrived. She didn't need to answer her 1,000 questions. I dragged her to the room. Our commotion woke up Clark, the so-called sleeping prince, and he wasn't happy at all. I told him I knew everything and tossed the ring at him. I expected him to beg me, but all he asked was if I was sure he'd be able to find another good catch now that he was damaged goods. I told him I'd rather die single than be with a loser like him. Meanwhile, Melody just stood there, staring at me. She asked if I wasn't planning to leave, since I didn't want to be engaged anymore. And then, I got kicked out. I ran to tell my mom everything. And you know what she said? I should go back and apologize to him for giving the ring back. That the wedding was near and it wouldn't look good for the family. Thinking I'd lost my mind, I went to tell my dad everything. And he, who had always treated me like his princess, told me I was to blame, that marriage isn't a game and I was naive. That's how my world shattered. My entire family turned against me. They pressured me to apologize to him and go through with the wedding. But deep down, I knew what happened was wrong. He wanted me to give up everything for him while he slept with my sister. He lied to me for months so I wouldn't suspect a thing. Even my naive self knew something wasn't right. So I called off the engagement, and they disowned me, because to them, this wedding was part of what they'd planned for me. Before all that happened, I saved some money and moved into the apartment my grandmother left me, the only place my father can't touch. I suffered a lot. My ex spread rumors about me, about who I was. I no longer had the protection of my family. And as if that weren't enough, they announced the engagement between my ex and my sister just 2 weeks after breaking up with me. My mom said that's just how things are, that if God allowed this, then it must have been meant to be. I was completely alone and isolated. The worst part was seeing their wedding months later on social media. It was perfect, exactly what I'd dreamed of. I couldn't stand the pitying looks or the judgment, so I left. 2 years have passed. And today, my mom calls me. She says the business is falling apart, that my dad is showing early signs of dementia, and that they need me to come back to lead the company. Now, suddenly, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get me to return and avoid bankruptcy. And I can't believe it. What nerve do they have after they treated me like trash? On the other hand, I can't help but wonder if this might be my chance to come back and make everyone who hurt me pay. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm sure I'll come up with something. If there's one thing I've learned these 2 years, it's that I'm capable of far more than I ever imagined. I'll keep you all posted. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. It's been a month since I went to visit my family. I know, why the hell would I do that after everything they put me through? Well, let's just say curiosity got the better of me. I guess I also needed some kind of closure after how they treated me. Before you start grilling me, I've got some seriously hot gossip. It turns out things aren't what they seemed. I've been talking with my mom these past few weeks and, well, she spilled everything. At first I told her to leave me alone, but she insisted so much I decided to go along and see where it led. It turns out my dad's health has been deteriorating over the past 2 years. So much so that it's directly affecting the business. My mom has tried to intervene, but handling a business isn't really her thing. My sister isn't even an option. She's never set foot in a business class, and let's be honest, intelligence has clearly never touched her head. And her husband? Well, he's busy with other things. Oh, but what she doesn't know is that her dear husband is actually broke. I heard through some very reliable rumors that his family cut him off financially after doing the same thing he did to me. In the end, his family turned out to be more decent than mine, so much so that maybe we should swap? He's supposed to earn a living on his own, but obviously, he's failing at it. Apparently, they've been scraping by on my sister's monthly allowance, but that's running out soon. My mom has no idea, of course. And trust me, my source is solid. A cousin from his side of the family, let's call her Liberty. Not a coincidence, right? Liberty was the only one who cared about me after my engagement fell apart. We've talked a bit over these past 2 years, though I asked her not to mention anything about my ex. However, when my mom reappeared in my life, curiosity got the best of me, and I asked for all the details on him and his marriage. And if you're wondering why they haven't hired someone to run the company, it's because my dad doesn't trust anyone else and flat out refuses to hand over control. Even though he's not medically fit to lead the business, he still holds on to certain rights. My mom has tried to get the lawyers involved so he can't make decisions, but he's been blocking her every step. He only trusts one person, and that person is me. So, all the responsibility now falls on my shoulders. Isn't that just divine? They've run out of options and I'm their only salvation. I've decided to help them out, but on one condition. Every single one of them has to apologize to me for what they put me through. And not just any apology, I mean a sincere one. If not, I'm not lifting a finger, period. And believe me, that's just the part they think they know. My revenge doesn't stop there, but they don't need to know that side of the story. I've got a meeting with everyone tomorrow. I just landed, so jet lag is killing me, and obviously, I'm not going to see them today. My mom's been given the mission of telling my sister I'm in town and that she needs to apologize to me. If she doesn't, everyone's going down the drain. I never thought power could feel this good. I might just get used to this. I'm loving watching them squirm, knowing I'm their best, and only chance to save the business. My track record over these 2 years proves it, and they'd be lucky if I didn't make them get on their knees while apologizing. I can't wait to see their faces when they have to beg me for forgiveness for hurting me and ruining my reputation. They really thought I was out of their lives for good, that they'd never need me again. But karma had been working quietly, waiting for the perfect moment for my revenge. I'm still plotting how to make Clark and Melody suffer now that, ironically, I'm going to be the one holding this family together. At least I know I'm not going to support them. Update 2. It's been a full 3 months. And honestly, these last 3 months have been the most fun I've had in ages. And it all started on the night my sister had to apologize to me for betraying me. I swear, it looked like she'd rather jump off a bridge than say sorry, but she had no other choice. Melody knew that if I didn't save the company, all her comforts would vanish and she'd become just another ordinary girl. In fact, she'd be worse off than ordinary because she doesn't have any real life skills. I highly doubt she would have survived like I did after leaving the city. After I left, I dove headfirst into my education and started a master's program. At the same time, I landed a job in my field. And not only did I do well, I did better than ever before. I was totally driven by the need to prove that I was so much more than just a fiancé or my parents' daughter. Would you believe that in less than 6 months at the company, I got promoted? My boss retired and she was so impressed with my performance that she personally recommended me as her replacement. Of course, that came with a lot of doubts from my colleagues and my own imposter syndrome. But still, I ended that year on top, with my master's degree in hand and having shown that I was the perfect fit for the job. My performance review silenced any lingering doubts. What I mean to say is that my sister could never have achieved half of what I did. She's just not on my level, and I won't lie, I enjoyed every second of watching her beg for forgiveness. My parents, on the other hand, didn't waste a second apologizing. They actually looked desperate to get me to accept the CEO position. In these 3 months, I've been insanely busy doing exactly what needed to be done. Plus, I've been dragged to an endless number of events. As the CEO and the public face of the company, my parents have been shoving me into every gala they can find. And speaking of Clark, can you believe he had the nerve to try and be nice to me? He gave me compliments, said the CEO role suited me perfectly. And this is coming from the same guy who made me quit my master's when I was so close to finishing it. His remarks, even when dressed up as respect, just irritated me more and more. Sure, I could have told him to go to hell and gotten a bit of satisfaction out of it, but I had even more satisfying plans in store for him. Even though he pretends to admire me, he's still overestimating the power he thinks he has over me. So, little by little, I started keeping the door slightly open, and now we're even talking, with a hint of familiarity. And yes, he confirmed the rumors, he's bankrupt. So I got straight to the point. I suggested I could help him out financially, on the condition that he meets me at a specific hotel. And you know what? He didn't hesitate for a second. He had the nerve to even suggest scamming my sister for money without a second thought, really showing what kind of scum he is. In a couple of hours, we're set to meet at that hotel. He thinks I'm going to give him money in exchange for a touch, for a hookup, or that I'm somehow interested. Poor deluded guy. The only thing that's going to touch him is karma, and I don't think he's going to like that fatal touch. Not literally, I'm not going to kill him or dump his body to the alligators, but figuratively speaking. I still can't believe he actually thinks I'm so stupid that I'd let him lay a hand on me. There isn't enough soap in the world to wash off what he's done. He'd feel as awful as if he were with my sister. I'd never be with someone who was with my sister. One must be really disgusting to do that. Well, my sister doesn't care. I guess she likes keeping things a little dirty. Update 3. It's been about 3 weeks. Many people thought I was a weak girl, a rescuer who would rush in when their house of cards fell, Someone they could discard and then call back when it suited them. Well, not me. In my last update I mentioned the plan I had for my ex, right? Well, the day finally came. I told him exactly when and where to meet me at the hotel, even giving him step-by-step instructions on how to greet me. What he didn't know was that I wasn't going to show up alone. Earlier that same day, I called my sister and invited her to the hotel spa under the excuse that I wanted to fix our relationship as siblings. Yep, I was playing both sides. Naturally, she got suspicious of my sudden invitation and tried to turn it down, but I sweetened the deal by promising that afterward we'd go shopping, and I'd pay for everything. Once money and shopping entered the picture, she lost all logic. I remember when I used to be just like that, dazzled by material things and thinking they were gestures of love. How naive I was, but life has cured me of all that. Now I can buy those things for myself, the same things Clark once used to deceive me. I timed everything perfectly so that my sister would accompany me to the hotel room, under the pretense that I had forgotten my keycard there. When she opened the door, she found her husband in bed, a rose tucked in his mouth, and a dab of whipped cream in, well, you know where. I'd seen that in a movie, and just thinking about it makes me laugh. I had left some things on the bed and urged him to go along with it. I didn't really expect him to obey, but like a complete idiot, he did. Apparently, he was willing to do absolutely anything I asked. I should have asked for more. It was a brutal déjà vu. All over again, here he was getting caught cheating on his partner, and this time with his sister. Only now, the roles were reversed. Melody stood frozen, exclaiming, "What the hell are you doing here? And why do you have whipped cream on your dindalim?" That's apparently her affectionate nickname for the little guy between his legs. The funniest part of my plan was knowing things might escalate between them, so I wasn't in my own room. My room was on another floor. I had booked that room through my ex, and I had him leave a keycard at reception that I picked up earlier. They really tore the place apart, but I didn't stick around to see it. I headed to the hotel bar for a drink while they argued about their relationship, raising their voices and getting a bit violent. Rumor has it that even the dindalim suffered some of that violence. Although the reception staff wouldn't tell me for privacy reasons, I've also heard that the hotel room ended up costing over $5,000 in damages. For a room that normally costs only $200, that must have really hurt my ex's credit card. If he were my friend, I'd advise him to stop thinking with his dindalim. You know what? One thing's for sure, my ex had to go to the hospital after all this, and rumor has it there was blood and whipped cream involved. Just as the hotel protects its clients' privacy, the hospital does the same, so I can only go by what my reliable source says. And this is just the beginning. I still haven't revealed what I have prepared for my parents in all of this. Update 4. First of all, I'm sorry. I disappeared completely and probably left you all worried. No, I'm not in jail, I'm just fine. It just wasn't the right time to post an update. So, my first message is, I'm sorry. I could have explained a bit more in my last post. The truth is, I already knew chaos was coming for the business, but I couldn't say much. My parents certainly didn't know, but my sister and Mr. Dindalim, as some have been calling him in the comments, might have read something. However, now I can be honest with you all. I was never in the company to save it. I was there to sink it. Around the time my mom contacted me, I was already plotting how to ruin them. You see, my parents thought I'd come back and forgive everything for this grand opportunity to join the family business. Grand for them, perhaps, but for me it was the perfect chance to destroy them from the inside, and I've actually thanked my dad for that opportunity. Since taking over the role, my father's health has declined significantly, so I'm not sure how much he understood my gratitude. And if I'm being completely honest, in this phase of my revenge I didn't even have to try that hard. I just did my job as badly as possible and let the business continue on its doomed path until it was impossible to keep it afloat. As CEO, I oversaw the liquidation of their assets and ensured all the employees were compensated. What was left was a $2,500 check that I handed over to my mom. With my father's illness worsening and my mom clueless about what to do with the business, I was given the power to take over. But, as I said, I can't take full credit for this revenge. I don't think I could have saved it even if I wanted to. Could I have stabilized it enough for my parents to get more money from selling it? Maybe, but I didn't want to. Now they're ruined, and they hate me for it. In fact, they despise me. The last time my mom called to tell me something, I simply told her that maybe this is God's plan and then I cut her off. I told her to join the long list of people who hate me and want to see me fail, and that list now includes my sister. I had no idea she was pregnant when I exposed her husband for cheating. I swear, she never told me anything. Had I known, I probably wouldn't have done it that way, knowing violence could be involved. Luckily, the baby survived, but the pregnancy became high risk. According to my ex, she hated him so much afterward that she filed for divorce and wouldn't let him see the child. She even won the custody battle. He now hates me with everything he's got for that, but I told him to take a look in the mirror and blame himself. This man, so childish, was furious about everything. And you know what? I sleep like a baby at night, smiling with complete satisfaction. I don't think I've ever slept this well in years. Update 5. People have been begging me for an update on my family, though honestly, I don't even call it that. And on Mr. Dindalin. So here's what's happened in the past few months, now that the radioactive fallout from my nuclear bomb has finally started to fade. Although, of course, the fallout can last for years. My father has been so sick that my mom had to take him to a care center. It's too much responsibility for her, especially since she's had to find a job to make ends meet. At least she visits him, but my sister? I know she hasn't gone to see him even once. She claims she's too busy raising her kid, which is really sad for my father. By the way, my dad only has one daughter, and no, I'm not mistaken, he has just one. My mom had to get a job after years of being used to being a homemaker and nothing more. I warned her when I gave her that check not to blow it all in one place. But she didn't, you know. $2,500 could have lasted a long time if she managed it well. I'm just kidding, though she should be grateful that I got her that money. It could have been even less. No one likes ungrateful people. As for my sister, you already know she's a single mom who's also had to find work, because her ex still can't hold down a job to pay child support. Being cheated on by your own sister is painful enough, but having a kid with a Dindalin takes the cake. And yes, everyone who needed to know already knows the nickname she gave to the mastermind behind my ex's actions. My ex knows that the moment he lands a job, my sister will be all over him, just like she was all over her Dindalin. Now, some people believe that his Dindalin isn't functioning quite right. I choose to believe that too because I'm not about to check. As for me, I've picked my life back up after hitting pause to execute God's plan. It wasn't like these plans just happen on their own, they need at least a little push.